this film really is what Haikyuu is all about.
Hello, everyone. Bryson, Clint, thank you so much for joining me today.
My
Thank you.
pleasure.
My
Of
pleasure
course.
as well. Thanks for having us.
Of course. Now, this movie's kind of a big match, I would say,
Yeah,
right?
just a little bit, just a little bit. Not
Sad.
not too important, but it's one of those.
And
It's
so,
just nationals.
Yeah.
no big
It's just the
deal.
biggest game of the year.
Yeah, but also a rivalry, a rival game that they've been wanting to do for like 4 seasons. Like,
4 seasons, like 100 plus episodes. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
what has it been to see this match finally come to screen, after all of these years, all of these seasons later?
Well, it was a really big deal for me because Kenma has kind of been a background character for 4 seasons, and this is his entire purpose in the whole series. So this was something that I've been preparing for a really really long time, and this was the moment. This is the Kenma movie. I my anticipation could not have been greater.
Mhm. I've only gotten to see the bits and pieces that my character talks in and makes reactions and stuff, and from what I've seen of it so far, it's been amazing, and I honestly cannot wait to see it in, like, the theater. My dog's in the background shaking. I'm hope that wasn't too loud.
Oh, it's
You
fine. We
it's
also
funny
love
because
visitors.
that was like the opposite experience for me
Mhm.
because I eventually went back and read the manga and watched the series, but when I was recording the TV series, I only saw things through Kenma's eyes,
Mhm.
and that's only a piece of the picture. So it's been kind of situations reversed now.
Speaking about Kenma and Hinata, they've been friendly rivals for quite some time now. So, for
Mhm.
both of you, what is your favorite thing about how these two characters interact?
What I love is just their contrast in, like, what's funny to me is that they're such contrasting characters, whereas, like, Hinata is very much, like, very pumped. He's like, "I'm so excited to play volleyball. I love it. I'm gonna make sure that, like, I have the best time ever." And Kenma is very, like, very stoic, and Clint can speak more to, like, the deeper details of his character, but my impression as the actor playing Hinata, he, their contrast couldn't be starker. Kenma can seem very much that this aloof character that doesn't care quite as much, and what I love is their dynamic of Hinata trying to be like, you know what, you're good at this game, and I'm gonna make you like realize that you're actually having fun. Otherwise, why are you here? Like, I want you to realize within yourself that you're having fun playing this. And then just I love how they're not on the same team, but throughout the season, anytime there's like a training camp going on, where like multiple teams are in the same building or in the same area, or it's like an overnight training camp, like intensive, as soon as Karasuno and Nekoma are both around, uh, Hinata just goes straight to Nekoma's like area and starts hanging out with Kenma and So Inuoka and all the Nekoma people. I just love that he, he he's like, oh hey, yeah, my Karasuno bros are cool, but like Kenma's my best friend somehow. But it's very much like
Somehow.
it feels very much, and the reason I say somehow is because it feels very much like Kenma's my best friend,
Yeah.
but Kenma's kind of like, yeah, Hinata's a cool friend, I guess. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He keeps getting these texts, and he's like, "Okay, back."
yeah, okay.
Yeah, there was a scene. I don't remember what season it was in, but the issue was that Kenma just like didn't care if he really wins or loses, and Hinata was like, I'm gonna make you feel something, anger or joy or whatever. And I thought that was so cool because that's going to have a payoff eventually, and so the excitement I think going into the movie is like seeing how that sort of thing is going to pay off and seeing how these little seeds that they've planted throughout the whole series, how that's going to pay off in this match that they've been playing up for such a long time. And so I think like that for is the big like thing for Hinata. Of course he wants to win because they're at nationals, but he wants to get something out of Kenma,
Mhm.
laughter or tears or something, and so I think that's such a cool like emotional center of the movie.
Mhm.
And this is the first movie where we do kind of start to wrap up the franchise. So, can you reveal when you learned that this project was going to happen? Like, did you get a heads up or did you see the trailer and it was like, oh my gosh, this is happening?
Um, I can't speak to Clint's experience, but my experience was I had seen them announce in Japan, like the movies were coming, and they announced it so long ago. They teased it so long ago. I think it was like almost 2 years ago at this point when they first were like, "Yes, we're going to be doing Haikyuu movie 2-part finale movies. More information next year." And it's like, okay, and we as the English cast, there's definitely like a little bit of a hesitation to get our hopes up because we never know. There's instances in the past where a TV series might get picked up by a different studio and they'll recast everyone with new people, or it'll go to a completely different region, or maybe it just for whatever reason or another just won't get just for whatever reason or another we won't be able to work on it again. So there is always that slight bit of like I'm holding my breath hoping that we get to work on this and crossing our fingers. And um when we finally found out that we were going to be able to do this and that they were going to get the original cast back for the film as well, on top of the fact that it's going to have a theatrical release, like all those things kind of came at once. I was like learning all this information very fast, very all at once, and it was overwhelming but like exciting, and I couldn't wait to get into the booth and get started on it.
Yeah, we have had to wait quite a while, and it was really scary because even when I was writing it, I didn't know if the cast was coming back or not. So I
Mhm.
was writing these lines not knowing if I was going to get to record them. But Crunchyroll is very good about bringing people back when they can, and
Mhm.
we were able to get, I think, if not everyone, then very, very, very nearly
Mhm.
back. But yeah, it was so exciting, but also just like. Oh, how are they going to handle it? What's it going to be like? I was so excited to see the movie, and it really, really exceeded my expectations because it's covering, the pace is a little different than the TV series. The TV series is a little bit slower, but in TV series, they can't blow all of the animation budget in, 30 minutes. You can't have just
Yeah.
wall to wall, super animated volleyball action every episode. So you have to draw it out a little bit. But the movie is like breakneck speed because there's no holding back in terms of the budget of the animation.
Mhm.
It's just killer from beginning to end. And so I think it ended up adapting the material really, really well. Even though it's the pacing is different than the TV series, but it's so exciting. It's just like it's
Sakuga fans rejoice.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And, kind of as I mentioned, this is a very big match, a long-awaited rivalry, excuse me. And since it's also kind of the beginning of the end, I'm very curious into your recording sessions. Like, can you describe what your last recording session was like for this movie? Like, how are you feeling? Especially, Clint, this was Kenma's big moment.
Right,
And,
right.
it kind of came full circle.
I was just so satisfied at the end of this. It was just this like peace in my heart because I had such a phenomenal experience recording, and we finished a little early and then we just watched everything back. And it was like I don't think we changed anything. It was all like this is great. This is exactly where it needs to be. And so I just like when it was over. But it was a little bittersweet because I left the building. I'm like, well, I guess this is it. And I was just looking back up. I had to drive to Dallas for it, which is like, 4 hours for me. And then I'm
Mhm.
like, I just have to drive home now. I
You
just
had
didn't want to leave. But it was a very, very satisfied feeling. So I think in the next movie, even though Kenma's story has essentially completed, I do think we will see more of him. But that'll be kind of like a victory lap for me.
Mhm. And for me, so this series, the series, for me, the movie is a lot more contained than a series, and so because just by sheer runtime of the film versus a TV series, we tend to be able to do a lot more within a single session. So a lot of I only had one, like, I think 5 or 6 hour session, and so we were able to start to finish in one sitting in one go. But throughout the entire time, much like Clint was saying, we were finding these moments where we can just tweak things to make them just that much more like amazing and that much bigger. And there's a particular scream that happens in the action of the show that like I did the pass during the initial run through and everything. And by the end of it, Hinata has a lot of exclamations and a lot of grunts and a lot of shouting. He's a very loud boy. He loves to be hyped up and hyper. But by the end of it, I was like, you know what? I really, really want to take that scream again. And he's like, "Are you
Mhm.
sure? Are you sure?" Like the director was happy with it, and obviously they wanted to make sure I didn't like hurt myself and make sure that I was still like good to go for it. And I was like, you know what? I just really feel like I can do this one better than what I gave. And they were like, okay, cool. Just letting you know, like, I'm happy with this one. If it doesn't work out, like, we'll keep it as it is, but just give it all you got. And I did it, and they were like, you know what? That was so much better. And I felt so satisfied, and I just can't wait for everybody to see those moments
I'm
because I'm
I'm
very proud of that moment.
I'm grinning because I think I know the part you're talking about.
Yeah.
I had I was lucky. I think you were maybe the first to record.
Mm,
So I had you the whole movie already laid in, so I got to,
mhm.
that was very exciting.
That was one of the disappointing things was that, like, I didn't get to hear
Yeah,
our
I
back
didn't
and
get.
forth as much, but you know
Yeah,
what? I'm
yeah,
happy
yeah.
that I was able to lay stuff down for you to play off of in
Mhm.
that, and now I just can't wait to hear I just can't wait to hear us both together.
Yeah, you'll just have to see it in the theater.
Mhm.
Going back to Kenma and Hinata's friendship, can you describe their journeys up to this point and then what you think they will take away from this match? Because we did talk about how they're very contrasting characters and just the way that they approach, the
Yeah.
sport.
I feel like this movie does a really good job of reintroducing these characters and their relationship and the stakes that the and their perspectives, that's the word I was looking for. The perspectives that they both start off in at the beginning of the show, like Hinata is very much like, I love this. Volleyball is my life, and I want to be better and become the best that I can be. And he meets Kenma, and Kenma's in his starting point of the series, and he's very much the opposite of that. He's very much like just natural talent, but doesn't care quite as much about winning or losing. He's not a very competitive person. And so like just start getting to see the start of that relationship and then how it pays off all within the film is very satisfying. As we've said a bunch of times at this point, everything's very satisfying in this film.
Uh,
It's a very satisfying film. um but yeah, I love that, like, throughout the series, at least from Hinata's perspective, you get to they get to meet each other at the starts of their journeys, and now they're both meeting like a climactic point in both their journeys as well in this film. And I think that it's very much a sight to behold. I couldn't think of any other wording. But yeah.
I mean, in a sense, from a character development perspective, you might feel like Kenma has kind of been stuck in a rut up until this point because you don't really see everything from his perspective. And in this movie, you see a lot of flashbacks that recontextualize his feelings and kind of show you where he's at and why he's there. And then you see, something
Mhm.
emotional happen.
Those
you know,
inklings
um,
of, "Oh, you know what, this is actually pretty fun," or
but
something.
this is a part of Hinata's story, but I think the movie tells the entirety of Kenma's story, especially being able to do the flashbacks. And there's some flashbacks when he's like a little kid and stuff. And so this is the entire journey. And I think the thing that was really cool about it is that there are, several parts of the game, and Kenma is an antagonist at parts and a protagonist at parts. And so it's really cool to see the entirety of Kenma all in one film from beginning to end.
And I think I mentioned this in another interview, or if I mentioned it here, feel free to stop me. But Kenma is actually my favorite character in the show, partially just because I related to him being a gamer and not wanting to sweat
Not a
as
star
much. I
volleyball
wasn't
player.
very yeah. But I am super looking forward to seeing his arc told through this film because, like Clint has already said, like you don't get to see a whole lot of his perspective throughout the show, and I really can't wait to be able to see that side of things this film really is what Haikyuu is all about. To steal what Clint has said in other interviews.
There's a lot of excitement. I'm very excited, and I can't wait for all of us, all in this room, all the fans everywhere, to see it.